You're listening to an MDS podcast.
Lizzie.
Ben.
Lizzie.
Ben.
Okay, so now that Twin's gone, finally, I know you usually never do this for the both of us, but we always ask for Harry Potter or for Twilight because that's our favorite story. Can we have a story time, please?
No, we're not doing story time.
No, why can't we do story time? You promised
because
me
we've been over this.
Birthday,
every time we do story time, I get mad at you.
I mean that you signed the contract when you married Twin, you would deal with my crap. So I want story time.
You were not in our vows.
I wrote them in. The pastor said them.
I don't think he did.
Yeah, it was right there. That's the whole reason why someone was weeping in the groom's team. I don't know who it was exactly, but someone was weeping because it was just so beautiful how they interjected my name into. Anywho, Lizzie, come on. It's just
Ben. I'm not reading you a story.
Come on.
Do you promise to not interrupt me?
Only if the spirit of Jesus moves me. Amen.
I will read you a story only if you don't interrupt me.
Okay.
Okay,
I won't interrupt you, but if someone else in my household interrupts, I can't, there's nothing I can do with that. So,
All right, are you ready for the story?
I'm ready for story time.
Okay. This story is called The Little Red Hen. It is an old English folktale retold by Florence White Williams.
Why is the hen red?
We are on the title page. Do you want me to revoke story time?
No. Okay, I'm sorry. I just want to get all the questions out of the way. Like, why is the hen red?
You will figure that out as we are reading the story.
Are you sure?
No.
Oh. All right. I'll save my questions for afterwards.
All right. A little red hen lived in a barnyard. She spent almost all her time walking about the barnyard in her pickety-peckety fashion, scratching everywhere for worms. She dearly loved fat, delicious worms and felt they were absolutely necessary to the health of her children. Gross. As often as she found a worm, she would call, "Chuck, chuck, chuck," to her chickies. When they were gathered about her, she would distribute choice morsels of her tidbit. A busy little body was she. A cat usually napped lazily in the barn door, not even bothering herself to scare the rat who ran here and there as he pleased. And as for the pig who lived in the sty, he did not care what happened so long as he could not eat or he did not care what happened so long as he could eat and grow fat.
Why does a pig have to be fat? Why can't it be a muscle pig?
Because the pig sits around and eats. It's not a little teacup pig. It's an actual barnyard pig.
Sounds like my twin.
All right, are you ready for the story?
Yeah.
You keep interrupting.
Are we still on the epilogue?
No. One day, are you ready?
Yes. I got. What? Is there time for a bathroom break or popcorn?
No.
Oh.
You should have taken a bathroom break before story time happened then.
Okay, I didn't know this was actually going to happen, so I kind of.
You did. We planned this.
I was kind of bluffing this whole thing. I didn't think you would actually read it, so I was like, all right, fine. I'll hold it. Go ahead.
You hold
There's
it.
There's a red hen. There's a fat pig, and chickadee, moo moo.
Good job. One day, the little red hen found a seed. It was a wheat seed, but the little red hen was so accustomed to bugs and worms that she supposed this to be some new and perhaps very delicious kind of meat. She bit it gently and found that it resembled a worm in no way whatsoever, As to taste, although because it was long and slender, a little red hen might be easily fooled by its appearance. Carrying it about, she made many inquiries as to what it might be. She found it was a wheat seed, and that if planted, it would grow up, and when ripe, it could be made into flour and then into bread. When she discovered that, she knew it ought to be planted. She was so busy hunting food for herself and her family that naturally she ought not take time to plant it. So,
Boo. Sounds like a terrible mother, in my opinion.
she is just trying to feed her family.
Doesn't sound like it. She didn't have time to plant it.
Well, she's too busy doing all these other things for her
own
family.
Children, her own chickadees, and husband. Wow. Sounds like some other wife I know.
All right, we're done with story time.
No. It wasn't me. The spirit moved me. Feel the spirit.
No.
Hallelujah. No. Wait, come on. Bring it back.
I'm feeling attacked during the story time, Ben.
Huh?
I'm feeling attacked during this story time.
You're feeling attacked?
Yes. You said that you wouldn't interrupt story time, yet here you are interrupting story time.
It wasn't me. It was Jesus moving through me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Okay, give me another chance, please.
All right, you get one more chance.
Yes.
So she thought of the pig, upon whom time must hang heavily, and of the cat, who had nothing to do, and of the great fat rat with his idle hours, and she called loudly, "Who will plant this seed?" But the pig said, "Not I." And the cat said, "Not I." And the rat said, "Not I." "Well, then," said the little red hen, "I will." And she did. Then she went on with her daily duties through the long summer days, scratching for worms and feeding her chicks. Well, the pigs grew fat, and the cat grew fat, and the rat grew fat, and the wheat grew tall and ready for harvest. So one day, the little red hen chanced to notice how large the wheat was, and that the grain was ripe. So she ran about, calling briskly, "Who will cut the wheat?" The pig said, "Not I." The cat said, "Not I." And the rat said, "Not I."
These are terrible.
"Well, then," said the little red hen, "I will." And she did. She got the sickle from among the farmer's tools in the barn.
What's a sickle?
It sounds like a shovel. Or
it sounds like a shovel.
No, it sounds like a tool used to cut plants, because she's using it. If you use your context clues, she's using the sickle to cut the wheat.
My grandma has sickle cell.
She got the sickle from among the farmer's tools in the barn and proceeded to cut off all the big plants of wheat. On the ground lay the nicely cut wheat, ready to be gathered and threshed, but the newest and yellowest downies of Mrs. Hen's chicks set up a beep, 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 beep in their most vigorous fashion, proclaiming to the world, but most particularly to their mother, that she was neglecting them. Poor little red hen! She felt quite bewildered and hardly knew where to turn. Her attention was sorely divided between her duty to her children and her duty to the wheat, for which she felt responsible. So, again, in a very hopeful tone, she called out, "Who will thresh the wheat?" But the pig, with a grunt, said, "Not I." And the cat, with a meow, said, "Not I." And the rat, with a squeak, said, "Not I." So the little red hen, looking, it must be admitted, rather discouraged, said, "Well, I will then." And she did. Of course, she had to feed her babies first, though, and when she had gotten them all to sleep for their afternoon nap, she went out and threshed the wheat. Then she called out, Who will carry the wheat to the mill to be ground? Turning their backs with snippy glee, the pig said, Not I. And the cat said, Not I. And the rat said, Not I. So the little
Where's
red
the
hen.
farmer in all of this? I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I do. Where's the farmer? Why are the farm animals doing the chores of the farmer? Where's he at in the story? Does he not have a job? Why is a hen holding a sickle cell and you cutting down wheat and flowers and asking, come on, animals, let's take the flour to the mill? Where was this? Is this Charlotte's Web?
If you remember at the beginning of the story, I said that this was a folktale, I believe. Let's check. That this was an Old English folktale.
I'm sorry. So if I go to England right now, I'm going to see a farmer non-existent and animals just picking up tools and just doing chores on the farm.
Well, Ben, do you know what a folktale is?
No. But go ahead and explain it to me for all the listeners who may not know what a folk tale is.
Mm-hmm. Well, listeners, if you, just like Ben, do not know what a folk tale is,
I know what it means.
A folk tale is a made-up story that centers, or the characters are animals, as you can tell from this one, or other made-up mythical creatures. So it's telling us a story, but from the animal's perspective.
So all folk tales are on the point of view of animals.
Most of them.
Okay.
I know. All right. Do we need to stop the story since you keep interrupting?
No, we don't need to stop. I'm just curious, how much more of the story is there?
A couple more pages.
Couple more pages. Oh, okay. I think I can hold it till then.
You think? You think?
Yeah. Go ahead. I just had that, the really, amazing hypocritical question about, what the animals are doing. I don't see how they can have resumes and are qualified to run a farm. In this day and age, you need to have a degree just to run a farm. It's called an agricultural degree. Or in Old English folk tale, it's called the farming degree of the queen herself.
Yes. Well, the story is over 100 years old. So back then they didn't have resumes and degrees for the animals to farm.
So 100 years ago, all animals could talk?
Yes.
And do household chores?
Yes. All right. Should we finish the story?
Yeah. This story was finished before it began. Go ahead.
Carrying this earth. So the little red hen could say nothing, but I will then. And she did. Carrying the sack of wheat, she trudged off to the distant mill. There she ordered the wheat ground into beautiful white flour. When the miller brought her the flour, she walked slowly all the way back to her own barnyard in her own pickety-peckety fashion. She even managed, in spite of her load, to catch a nice juicy worm now and then, and had one left for each of the babies when she reached them. Those cunning little fluff balls were so glad to see their mother. For the first time, they really appreciated her. After this really strenuous day, Mrs. Hen retired to her slumbers earlier than usual. Indeed, before the colors came into the sky to herald the setting of the sun, her usual bedtime hour. She would have liked to sleep late in the morning, but her chicks, joining in the morning chorus of the henyard, drove away all hopes of such a luxury. Even as she sleepily half opened one eye, the thought came to her today.
Is that the end of the story? You mess up?
No. Even as she sleepily half opened one eye, the thought came to her that today the wheat must somehow be made into bread. She was not in the habit of making bread, although, of course, anyone can make it if he or she follows the recipe with care. And she knew perfectly well that she could if necessary. So, After her children were fed and made sweet and fresh for the day, she hunted up the pig, the cat, and the rat. Still confident that they would surely help her someday, she sang out, "Who will help me make the bread?" Alas for the little red hen! Once more her hopes were dashed. The pig said, "Not I." The cat said, "Not I." And the rat said, "Not I." So the little red hen said once more, "I will then." And she did. Feeling that she might have known all the time that she would have to do it all herself, she went and put on a fresh apron and spotless cook's cap. First of all, she set the dough as was proper. Then it was time she brought out the molding board and the baking tins, molded the bread, dived into it, divided it into loaves, and put them into the oven to bake. All the while, the cat sat lazily by, giggling and chuckling. And close at hand, the vain rat powdered his nose and admired himself in a mirror. And in the distance could be heard the long-drawn snores of the dozing pig. At last, the great moment arrived. A delicious odor was wafted upon the autumn breeze. Everywhere the barnyard citizens sniffed the air with delight. The red hen ambled in her pickety-peckety way toward the source of all this excitement. Although she appeared to be perfectly calm, in reality she could only with difficulty restrain an impulse to dance and sing, for had she not done all the work on this wonderful bread. Small wonder that she was the most excited person in the barnyard. She did not know whether the bread would be fit to eat, but joy of joys! When the lovely brown loaves came out of the oven, they were done to perfection. Then, probably because she had acquired the habit, the red hen called, "Who will eat the bread?" All the animals in the barnyard were watching hungrily and smacking their lips in anticipation, and the pig said, "I will." The cat said, "I will." And the rat said, "I will."
No, that's not fair. They've been sitting on their fat, animalistic behinds this whole time. You're saying like, I'm not gonna do the bread. I'm not gonna, pick the wheat or anything like we used to sickle cell, to put it in the mill and all that stuff. Now all of a sudden they want to take part in my delicious bread. I mean the red hen's delicious bread. No. They're gonna have to pay. They're gonna have to pay dearly.
Do you want me to finish the story?
I don't know. I'm kind of mad. Yeah, go ahead and finish the story.
Do you think that the little red hen will let the animals eat the bread or not?
I don't know. We already know that she's a neglectful mother hen. She definitely forgot about her kids several times. So the odds that she'll, share the bread with not even her kids or the animals is, I'm guessing she's not going to share with nobody. She's going to take that bread, go on a nice long road trip to America, and say, "See you later, sayonara. I'm finding me a new rooster."
Okay. That's a good prediction. That's a good prediction.
That's just a guess,
Yeah. All right. Shall we finish it?
Yeah, go ahead.
But the little red hen said, "No, you won't. I will." And she did. The end.
That was it?
That was it.
What happened to part 2? Is there a second book to follow up, like what she does? Like she takes the bread to America and finds herself a new rooster?
I don't know if I've never heard of a second part.
I don't think you've heard of the first part either.
I've heard of the first part.
Obviously not. You can't mess up those words.
Well, then, the moral or the lesson that we learn from this story is that if you want the good things in life, like the bread that the little red hen made, then you need to go and you need to help prepare and make those things so that they can happen. You need to do the hard work first before you get the reward.
You know what? I gotta say, Lizzie, this was not a bad story. I thought we were going to read Twilight, something, from this century that I would enjoy, but obviously public domain and,
Well, if you're not enjoying my stories, we don't have to do Twin Wifey Storytime anymore.
No. I don't enjoy it. I mean, especially when twins away, I get sad and we're not playing Fortnite or whatever. I need to fill up my time some way, and you were the last person on the phone contact list. So I said, why
Naturally.
not give it a try? I'll do story time. But I actually enjoyed the story,
Well,
the
I'm
little red hen.
glad.
All right, well, Lizzie, Twin Isaac, and Twin and I are going to play some Fortnite, and we'll catch you on the flippity flip.
All right, sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.
Don't change that dial. You are here with the MDS Podcast Network. You have Benjamin and
Isaac.
And we are with the BDH, the Bernie Johnson household. All right, we have a good time talking about what do we typically talk about?
Usually we have a topic in mind, but we end up talking about everything but that topic.
You know what? That sounds about right. And I guess we sound just like the Fox News. Oh, all right. Now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Way to alienate so many of our listeners.